10 years ago, it was 2016. Most people remember Pokemon Go, dabbing, and the mannequin challenge. But that wasn't the whole story. Across the world, creepy clowns suddenly started appearing. People believed they had just witnessed UFOs during a live broadcast, and some even claimed Bigfoot had finally been caught on camera. At the time, millions of people were left searching for answers. But 10 years later, we know much more than we did back then. These are the creepiest mysteries from 2016. Let's start with what was the biggest internet panic of 2016. Seemingly out of nowhere, creepy clowns started appearing across the world. Some stood silently in the middle of the night. Others appeared in places where nobody expected them, and within weeks, terrifying photos and videos had completely taken over the internet. But what most people don't know is that it all started with a single clown. Weeks before the worldwide panic began, people in Green Bay, Wisconsin started noticing a mysterious clown standing alone late at night. He never chased anyone. He never spoke. He simply stood there, watching. Photos of the clown quickly spread across social media. Nobody knew who he was, or why he kept appearing in random places after dark. The internet immediately began creating theories, but here's the twist. The mysterious clown, known as Gags, wasn't a serial killer at all. He was part of a marketing campaign for an independent horror film. The problem was, by the time people discovered the truth, the damage had already been done. Just weeks later, reports of creepy clowns suddenly began appearing in South Carolina. Children claimed they had been lured toward the woods by people dressed as clowns offering them money. Police investigated the reports but never found any evidence. That didn't stop the story from spreading. Within days, clown sightings were being reported all across America, then Canada, then the United Kingdom. Soon, reports were appearing in countries all over the world. Some sightings were obvious hoaxes. Others were copycats hoping to go viral. But not every incident ended as a joke. Several people were arrested after threatening others while wearing clown costumes. In Sweden, a teenager was stabbed by someone wearing a clown mask. In other countries, schools went into lockdown after reports of armed clowns near school grounds.
Now to those creepy clown threats. A woman claims she was attacked by a man in a clown suit just this morning, who then threatened to hurt students and staff at Reading schools. Well, that prompted the district to shut down today.
Of course, the idea of a killer clown wasn't new. Decades earlier, serial killer John Wayne Gacy had already helped turn clowns into one of the world's most terrifying symbols. Although he didn't commit his murders dressed as a clown, his case permanently changed the way millions of people looked at them. As the panic continued, even more disturbing rumors started appearing online. Some articles claimed killer clowns had begun murdering innocent people. One of the most viral stories involved a teenager in Pennsylvania who was supposedly killed by someone wearing a clown mask, but later investigations revealed something surprising. The victim himself had been wearing the clown mask, not the killer. Stories like that only made the panic grow even larger. Every new rumor created even more fear, and every new sighting inspired even more copycats. Then, almost as quickly as it had begun, it was over. Halloween passed. Police cracked down on copycats. News coverage slowly disappeared, and with it, the clown sightings themselves. Looking back nearly 10 years later, the killer clown panic wasn't caused by one criminal or one conspiracy. It was the perfect combination of social media, fear, copycats, and millions of people convincing each other that the next clown they saw might be real. On November 2nd, 2016, 34-year-old mother of two Sherri Papini disappeared near her home outside Redding, California. She'd been out running when she vanished. Later that day, her husband used Find My iPhone to locate her phone near the side of the road. Her earbuds were there too, but Sherri was gone. Almost immediately, a massive search began. Police searched the surrounding area, the FBI became involved, and as the story spread, hundreds of tips came in from around the country. But for more than 3 weeks, there was no sign of her. Then, on Thanksgiving morning, November 24th, Sherri suddenly reappeared. She was found near Interstate 5, around 146 miles away from where she had disappeared. She had restraints on her body, visible injuries, and a brand burned into her shoulder. Sherri told investigators that she had been kidnapped at gunpoint by two Hispanic women, held captive for 22 days, and repeatedly abused. For years, investigators searched for those women. Sherri even worked with an FBI sketch artist, creating images of the alleged kidnappers that were distributed as part of the investigation. But there was a problem. The evidence slowly began pointing in a completely different direction. DNA evidence, cell phone records, and rental car records eventually led investigators to one of Sherri's former boyfriends, and when they questioned him, the entire story began to fall apart. According to investigators, Sherri had arranged for him to pick her up on the day she disappeared. Instead of being held captive, she had voluntarily traveled with him to Southern California and stayed at his home in Costa Mesa. Witnesses even reported seeing her there, unrestrained. Investigators concluded that some of Sherri's injuries had been deliberately created to make the kidnapping story appear real. After roughly 3 weeks, her former boyfriend drove her back to Northern California, where she was eventually found along the highway. But even when investigators confronted Sherri with the evidence in 2020, she continued claiming that the kidnapping had really happened. That changed in 2022. Sherri Papini was arrested and later admitted that the kidnapping had been a hoax. She pleaded guilty to mail fraud and making false statements to federal investigators. Later that year, she was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison and ordered to repay more than $300,000 to government agencies that had spent money investigating the case and providing her with victim benefits. For almost 6 years, one of the strangest disappearance cases of 2016 looked like an unsolved kidnapping. In reality, there had never been any kidnappers at all. Next up is one of the strangest space-related mysteries of 2016. On July 9th, a live camera aboard the International Space Station was showing Earth from orbit when viewers noticed something unusual. A bright object appeared in the distance and seemed to move slowly toward Earth. At first, it could have been almost anything, a piece of space debris, a meteor, maybe even a satellite. But then something happened that made the clip explode online. Just moments after the object appeared, the live feed suddenly cut out, and that was enough. UFO channels immediately began uploading the footage, and thousands of people started asking the same thing. Did NASA just turn off the camera because it had captured something it wasn't supposed to? One of the most widely shared versions of the video was uploaded by a UFO researcher known as StreetCap1. Even he admitted that the object might have been something ordinary, but the timing of the video cutting out made the footage much harder to ignore. Some viewers even suggested that the object could have been China's Tiangong-1 space station, which at the time was no longer under full control. Others believed it was a meteor. And of course, some believed it was something far more mysterious. But NASA had a much less dramatic explanation. The footage came from the High-Definition Earth Viewing Experiment, or HDEV, mounted outside the International Space Station. NASA explained that the experiment used several cameras and that the live stream was automatically controlled. More importantly, the ISS regularly moves outside the range of the satellites used to transmit video back to Earth. When that happens, the live stream can suddenly disappear and show a blue screen or a temporary holding image. According to NASA, that's exactly what happened here. They said the feed was not intentionally shut down because of the object, and the camera returned shortly afterward as normal. So, was it a UFO? Technically, yes. At the time, it was simply an unidentified object visible in the footage. But there is no evidence that it was alien spacecraft, and there is also no evidence that NASA deliberately cut the feed to hide it. The most likely explanation is that two completely normal things happened at almost the same time. An unidentified object appeared in the distance, and the ISS temporarily lost its video connection. But because of the timing, a few seconds of footage were enough to create one of the biggest NASA conspiracy theories of 2016. And finally, we have Bigfoot. In 2016, a wildlife camera in northern Michigan captured something that it was never supposed to film. The camera had been installed high above the ground to monitor a bald eagle nest at the Platte River State Fish Hatchery near Beulah, Michigan. Usually, viewers would simply watch the eaglets in the nest, but in footage recorded that spring, something unusual appeared far below them. A dark figure walked through the woods on 2 legs. It was far away from the camera, slightly blurred, and difficult to identify, but the way it moved was enough to get people's attention. The clip was later shared online. And almost immediately, people started asking the obvious question: had a camera accidentally captured Bigfoot? The footage quickly spread across social media and news websites. Some viewers were convinced. Others said it was obviously just a person walking through the woods. And even the people responsible for the camera weren't sure what they had captured. The figure appears from the right side of the frame, walks upright through the trees, briefly pauses near a fallen tree, and then disappears from view. But there was one major problem. The camera wasn't designed to film the ground. It was focused on the eagle nest, roughly 85 to 100 feet above the forest floor. That meant the image below was blurry, and there was no reliable way to determine the figure's exact height, body shape, or size. Even Bigfoot researcher Jeff Meldrum, a professor at Idaho State University, said the footage was interesting, but that it didn't provide enough detail to be compelling evidence. Officials connected to the hatchery were skeptical too. The most likely explanation was simply that the figure was a person moving through the woods, but nobody was able to identify exactly who that person was. And because the footage was captured accidentally from a camera that was never meant to be watching the forest floor, the mystery became even more interesting. So, did the Michigan Eagle Cam really capture Bigfoot? There is no evidence proving that it did. The footage is too unclear, the scale is impossible to judge, and the most reasonable explanation is still an ordinary person in the woods. But unlike some famous Bigfoot hoaxes, this footage wasn't created by someone trying to film Bigfoot in the first place. The camera was there for the eagles, and that's exactly why, almost 10 years later, people still look at those few seconds of blurry footage and wonder what actually walked beneath that nest. These were 4 of the creepiest mysteries from 2016, but what about you? Is there a mystery from 2016, or maybe from another year, that you still remember clearly? Something that always stuck with you? Or something you still don't have an answer for? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.